A portion of today's video is sponsored by Sheath Underwear. For more information on Sheath, click the link below in the description or wait until the end of this video. Hey, thank you for joining me again. Please subscribe if you have not. I'm still trying to work out the kinks and figure out what's going on relative to the algorithm and my views and being down and subs being down. And you can help that way with supporting independent media in a very easy, free way. Just subscribe. Thank you. Look, there's a difference between being surprised by something and being shocked by something. I talk about this a lot. What I'm getting ready to talk about is not surprising at all. Donald Trump is just publicly, openly, nakedly corrupt. But it is shocking that a president of the United States would use the pardon power in the manner that Donald Trump does it. And I'm not even talking about stepping outside of tradition or what's normal for a president to act. I'm just talking about covering for MAGA, making sure that if someone is dutiful, has bent the knee sufficiently, is sufficiently loyal, and in the cult, they will face no consequence no matter their crime. And I'm not talking about the over 1,500 insurrectionists who attempted to overthrow the United States government. I'm not talking about Donald Trump's particular family members. I'm not talking about all of the umbrella of MAGA advisors who have been pardoned by Donald Trump. I'm talking about the sheriff in Culpeper, Virginia, who was prosecuted just last year, found guilty of bribery and public corruption, giving, deputizing just rich businessmen from Northern Virginia so that they could carry weapons concealed without a permit, could get out of speeding tickets, giving tens of thousands of dollars, taking in nearly $100,000 in bribes. And Donald Trump characterizes this as weaponization of trying to take down a good man. He had this to say on Truth Social just yesterday, 3:19 p.m. Eastern Time. Sheriff Scott Jenkins, his wife Patricia, and their family have been dragged through hell by a corrupt and weaponized Biden Department of Justice. In fact, during his trial, when Sheriff Jenkins tried to offer exculpatory evidence to support himself, the Biden judge, Robert Billow, refused to allow it, shut him down, and then went on a tirade. As we've seen in the federal, city, and state courts, radical left or liberal judges allow into evidence what they feel like, not what is mandated under the Constitution and rules of evidence. This sheriff is a victim of an overzealous Biden Department of Justice and doesn't deserve to spend a single day in jail. He is a wonderful person who was persecuted by the radical left monsters and left for dead. This is why I, as President of the United States, see fit to end his unfair sentence and grant Sheriff Jenkins a full and unconditional pardon. He will not be going to jail tomorrow, but instead will have a wonderful and productive life. This man accepted bribes. This man abused his position of public trust. This man will not see any consequence because he is sufficiently MAGA, because he and his lawyer ostensibly reached out to the White House and made their case because of his loyalty to Donald Trump. Here is a headline from The Independent. Trump pardons MAGA sheriff who took more than $75,000 in bribes. President hails him as a wonderful person. In April, the disgraced sheriff said he felt confident President Trump would help him if he got in touch with White House officials. Well, that appears to be true. What's interesting about this, and I'm going to get to it down here. Well, actually, I'll get to it right now. This is from the AP, that this isn't just some information they had, a tip from someone. FBI agents, undercover FBI agents, both got deputized and both gave this sheriff, respectively, $5,000 in cash and $10,000 in cash. Here's the headline from the AP. Trump says he's pardoning a Virginia sheriff convicted of bribery charges. And then in the article, testifying against Jenkins were two undercover FBI agents who were sworn in as auxiliary deputies in 2022 and immediately thereafter gave Jenkins envelopes, with $5,000 and $10,000 cash respectively. He's dead to rights. It was an undercover operation. Cops testifying against a cop. Which cop do they believe? The MAGA-COP. Of course. Now, going back to the Independent here, prior to losing an election in 2023 for the sheriff's job, Jenkins had been Culpeper County's top law enforcement officer for more than a decade. That long career fell apart after the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Virginia brought allegations against Jenkins, accusing him of taking tens of thousands of dollars worth of bribes in exchange for appointing businessmen from Northern Virginia as auxiliary sheriffs. The businessmen reportedly weren't interested in enforcing the law, but rather skirting traffic tickets and carrying concealed guns without the need for a permit, according to prosecutors. I realize this is a foreign outlet. This is a British owned newspaper, and their libel laws are different there. But he's been convicted, now pardoned. But it not just that it was alleged, it was proven. A jury found him guilty of all of these things. We can dispense with this weak language. Officials said that none of the men who paid for the positions were trained for the roles or vetted, and none ever rendered any kind of law enforcement service to the sheriff's department. Quote, "We hold our elected law enforcement officials to a higher standard of conduct, and this case proves that when those officials use their authority for unjust personal enrichment, the Department of Justice will hold them accountable," acting U.S. Attorney Zachary Lee said in March after Jenkins' conviction. Now, I believe this particular assistant U.S. attorney still works in this office, or this acting U.S. attorney. I think still there. Not for long, I would assume. This is a cop who's allowing pals, or maybe not pals, but people who are rich enough to give him money, the ability to carry weapons in public concealed without a permit, without proof of training or ability to use the weapon. For what purpose? This isn't public safety. This isn't looking out for what's on the side of cop cars to serve and protect. Was Jenkins serving and protecting the public by allowing these untrained, unhinged individuals desperate to carry a firearm concealed? It doesn't sound like protection or service to me. What do you think, though? I'd love to know. You can call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. You can also email me, daily@dollemore.com. Of course, you can always comment below. That helps the algorithm to maybe shove this content into new people's feeds where they can subscribe and we can get this algorithm problem that I'm facing dealt with. We'll get there. We'll get there. With your help, I'll get there quicker. But I appreciate you very much. Follow me on social media. If you're already there and you want to be continuing to be miserable on social media, I am at Dollemore. I'll be there miserable with you, and you can follow me there. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another. All right. Now that we've talked about all of that, I want to talk about something that's genuinely improved my daily comfort. You know how I'm always saying we should follow the evidence? Well, I've been wearing sheath apparel now for well over 2 years, and I have to say the evidence isn't just convincing, it's transformative. Let's face it, I hate buying underwear, and I'm sure you do too. Everybody hates buying underwear. With sheath, you can stop dreading that purchase because you'll have quality, durable apparel that lasts. Once you experience the sheath difference, you'll wonder how you ever wore anything else. What makes sheath different? That's the question. They're the original creators of pouch underwear technology. Now, I'm not going to get overly detailed here. It makes me a little uncomfortable, but it's essentially providing proper anatomical support that traditional underwear simply doesn't offer. Plus, Sheath donates a portion of every single sale to men's mental health initiatives, something I think many of us can appreciate the importance of. And it makes a noticeable difference whether you're sitting at a desk analyzing political developments for hours or just going about your day. And Sheath isn't just for men. They've developed an impressive line for women too, using the same principles of thoughtful design and premium materials. What I particularly appreciate about Sheath is their commitment to quality. These aren't disposable basics. They're using high-performance fabrics that last, and their ethical manufacturing practices align with values that many of us in this community share. If you're ready to upgrade your underwear drawer with something that's actually engineered for comfort, head to sheath.com and use code Dollemore for 20% off your first order. My team and I have switched to Sheath, and honestly, it's one of those small changes that makes a surprising difference in your day.